After that little detour, we've got the chassis repaired. So on this episode of Carnage, we're going to get the front end back in this thing and get some brakes on it. Last episode, we spent 2.5 days repairing the chassis rail in this thing, and it's 2.5 days we really didn't have. We got less than 3 weeks to get this thing ready for Mopar Sunday. The engine's not built, nothing's in the car, it doesn't run, it's not registered. Yeah, time is getting tight. And the job, as good as it looks, the chassis rail I think looks amazing, but as good as it looks, it's still not quite finished. We've got to weld in a couple more bump stops, weld in our brake line bracket, and then we can get the K-frame in it, get the steering back in it, get some brakes on this thing. It needs brakes. So let's get to work. If you watched our repairing the chassis rail episode, you'll know that I made up this little template, and this is where it really comes into play. Line it up with our steering box holes there, and this tells us where our bump stops have to go, because as you can see, chassis rail is nice and clean now, and we've got no sign of where anything went. But this will help us. So these old brackets, they had a few welds hanging off them, so I've given the edges a bit of a touch up on the old grinder, but they're still looking a bit rusty and daggy, so I'm going to throw them in the bead blaster, clean them up, so they're nice and clean to get re-welded on our chassis. This bead blaster is an awesome unit, I've got to say. I love it. As much as it pains me to screw up our nicely painted chassis rail, it has to be done. So I just have to scribe where the mounts are going. All right, that one there, that one there. So just as before, we're going to use this weld-through primer. Cover our area. The stuff does dry pretty fast, but you can speed the process up with a Ryobi heat gun. Okay, we've got our brackets on. We'll repaint all that, make it pretty, and then get it all together. Let that dry, and then we'll hit it with a second. Now that we've got all our mounts attached to the chassis rail and the paint's all dry, we're going to lift the K-frame up into the car, and the K-frame is the thing that all the suspension and steering hangs off. Now, to account for the fact that this sleeve is about 3 mils thick, I've gone down to Bunnings and got these galvanised square washers, and they are about 3 mils thick. Unfortunately, the holes were only 12 mils, so I've opened them up with a step drill to 20 mils, which will account for the very thick bolts that hold the K-frame in. But yeah, this should all go pretty straightforward, I think. Let's get it up there. So being galvanised, these washers won't rust. So just slot that in there. There's a little spacer. One up the back. Bolt through the hole. Now I would have loved to have stripped the K-frame back and all the suspension stuff back to bare metal, painted it all, made it all nice, but we really don't have that kind of time. So we'll just get in there, do it up, send it. All right, we'll torque them up, but yeah, that ain't going anywhere. Well, it's Monday morning and I'm back, and after spending a whole weekend tearing apart my shed looking for that, I find it sitting here on the bench, just over there, still in its box, but hidden by something else. That's the way it goes. You spend hours looking for that tool that you know you have, but you just can't find. So this is a Valiant ball joint tool, and you may see it has a square head for the square head of the ball joint, like so. So obviously it's only for the top ball joint, which is up here. So put that up there, and now we're going to undo that. It's going to use some force. Come on. I need a longer bar. That's what she said. So we need a bigger bar. That's not a bar. That's a bar. All right. So easy. One ball joint. So this one's definitely a torque wrench job. I reckon 130 foot-pounds or 176 Newton meters. Yow. That's a party. Really? Okay. All right, so it's 170, 176. For those that doubt, this one's a brand new torque wrench out of the box with a fresh calibration certificate. See what it says. It says yes. All right, carefully add the grease nipple. All right, yep, that'll do it. If you've ever snapped a grease nipple off in something, you'll know, just be a little bit gentle with them. Yeah. So it's time to put all this stuff back together, so make sure that we got the knuckle the right way, It means this curve points towards the front of the car. Caliper obviously mounts at the back. The really important one though is these lower ball joints, because they'll bolt on either way, but obviously one way is right and one way is wrong, and they're not interchangeable. But if you look underside, this one has a big L on it. So left hand side of the car, we'll save you for later. That one's got an R on it. So guess which side that goes on. Obviously the ball joint orientates that way, so you got to just make sure you put it on that way when you do your bolts up. Feels tight. Okay. Lower grease nipple. What was that? Okay, last split pin in, done. Ball joints, upper and lower, stub axles are in. All right, let's do the other side, then we can get our steering box and steering links in as well. Okay, top ball joint for the other side. This side's a little bit dirtier than the other. I had to do a little bit of cleaning up. All right, get on there. Come on. There we go. All right. Ah, easy as. Done. All right, so steering box, steering link, torsion bars, let's get it done. So I don't have to wrangle the octopus, so to speak, I'm going to split this all the way from the steering box, so that way I can just put steering box up, and then I can do steering arms, but I have to replace all these tie rod ends anyway, so, you know, it makes sense. All right, let's get this steering box separated and we can get that back in the car, and then we can work on all this other stuff. There we go. Easy as that. Done. While I'm here, I might as well do the torsion bars. So I might have stuffed up a little bit here. Probably should have put the torsion bar in the lower control arm before I did all my ball joints up. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of pre-tension on the big shifter. and just pop the torsion bar in like that. And just put in a little locking clip. Stick the clip in here. Easy. Now it's time for some tie rod ends. There's quite a bit of encrusted dirt and grease on these, so they're going to fight us quite a bit. Right, so that's that one. So the idler arm is very good, so I'm going to keep that. Won't have to replace it, which is a relief. Yeah, we'll just separate these tie rod end, or the two end parts first, and then we'll replace the tie rod end separately. So rather than trying to push a whole split pin through, sometimes it's easier just to cut the ends off the old split pin. It's not like you're going to be reusing it. And then grabbing the head and dragging what's left through. There we go. All right. There we go, that one's popped. There we go. Just so I can see how far I need to go in on the tie rod end, I'm just going to mark it on the bench here. And line with the bolt. Have that pretty much straight out. And it'll just give me a guide. Look, it won't be precise, and the whole thing will go to a wheel alignment after I'm done, but at least I'll be in the ballpark. So yeah, we've got it lined up there, we've got it lined up there. It's pretty much right to go. So just remember that with the tie rod ends, they're going to be one end's threaded one way, one end's threaded the other way. So on your boxes, you've got right and left, R and L. So the last one I did was a right, so this one will be a left. Fun. Of course, don't forget to buy your Street Machine merchandise from the Street Machine store. You can get Carnage t-shirts, obviously Street Machine hoodies. The classic taco hoodie is always a favourite. And then, yeah, there's heaps more drag challenge, old drag challenge stock as well. Or whatever was left over. There's usually not much left over. But yeah, if you jump on the Street Machine website, you'll find all your goodies there. And if you want to see new Carnage merch, just let us know, because the bosses would prefer to sell some of the old stuff first, and then if that sells, we can make new stuff. So as I mentioned before, the pitman arm and the idler arm are both pretty good, so we're going to keep them in there. That one can go up there, that one can go in there. really wants my knuckles, I think. Okay, so that's the last of the tie rod ends. Now just got to put split pins in them, grease nipples, and then we'll grease up the bearings, get the discs in, all that stuff. Get some wheels back on this beast, that'd be great. However, we've just discovered another roadblock, and it's right over my shoulder. This, I've never noticed it before. It's got rust in the front of the sill. I swear, someone hates me. I can fix it, but it's just another delay, and we've got just over 2 weeks. 2 weeks to get this thing running, registered, driving enough so we can go to Queensland, even though that is looking very unlikely just due to COVID border restrictions and all that sort of stuff. But even so, I still like to hit the deadline, you know, I'd still like to get the car ready in time. However, it may not be possible. What I'm going to do is tomorrow whip off the bumper, the guard, this inner panel, and see what we're dealing with, and see how soon it will, well, how quickly we can fix it. But this may put an end to our Mopar Sunday hopes. Not to the project, just to our hopes of getting to Mopar Sunday, because it just keeps piling on. All right, well, I guess you're going to see all that on a future episode of Carnage.